Alrighty. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Producer's Log. It's December 20th today. It's about noon, and I'm going to be showing you the process of how to edit and post and distribute a podcast, because that's what I'm going to be doing today. Alright, so feel free to ask me any questions along the way, as you can see in the chat right here. Anything pertaining to podcasting, photos, media, it's all on board. It's all game. Go for it. So yeah, I'm gonna get right to it. We're gonna pop into our next screen here. So right now I'm working in Adobe Audition. Now I'm not gonna be showing the whole process of like how to record and edit all this stuff, but basically you've got a microphone kind of like this. This is an SM7B, which is a little bit more expensive, but you can get things like the AKG makes the MXL 990 series, the 770 series, and I think the 660 series. Those are all fantastic like podcasting microphones. They're great for they're called condenser microphones. So they make the they take a small area of recording and they pick it up really specifically. Like as you can hear through this microphone, it's very beneficial to the human voice. Like it sounds good. It adds a little bit of extra oomph to it. You're basically hearing this signal raw. There's a little bit of compression to it through my mixer, which is a little Zoom H6 right there. That's also the device that I use to record podcasts. It's this little handheld device. It basically has 4 XLR inputs, so you can plug in microphones there and run them with phantom power, which these condenser mics need. Basically, you need to have them plugged into a power source or else they won't work. So you have a couple of mics like that. You sit down, you chat with someone for an hour, however long, 20 minutes, however long it takes to get your podcast out there. And now you're left with this audio file. So this is what I'm working with right now. Typically, I do a couple of things to get to this point. When I'm starting off, the waveform is usually a lot more extreme. Like there's a lot of peaks and valleys. Like if someone starts talking away from the microphone like this, you can hear their voice start to dip or something like that. Meanwhile, if they're right here and they laugh really loud, that's obviously going to be a peak in the signal. So the way that I have this recorded, for you audio nerds out there, I'm using 32-bit float when I record these files. The point of that is that if someone laughs into a microphone or if they get too far away, I can raise and lower the gain in post without it really affecting the signal that much. If I'm not mistaken, it changes gain into a level slider. So you're working with how much you're dampening the signal as opposed to how much gain you're adding to the signal. So it's really forgiving when you're in the editing process, which is really nice. You get a lot of extra room when you're doing you're like boosting signal and stuff like that. I'm gonna spin this just a little bit. So it's a great option. Definitely check it out if that's possible. I know that there's a couple of like field recorders that have that option now. I think it's the Zoom F8, which is this big honker. But yeah, that's supposed to be really good. The reason why I do that is so that if someone laughs or the microphone kind of like jumps all of a sudden, maybe someone moves it and it gives like a weird sound, it's a lot easier to edit. And I can bring the files into like make them look like this, like you're seeing right now. I'd be pointing this side of the screen. Okay. So the idea is that you want to get your audio relatively level. So as you can see right here, there aren't like, yeah, there's some points where it pops out. That's obviously like where someone laughs. Like let's check this point right here. This is gonna be my my interview with Ashley Reinhardt, who's a web designer and programmer. She works at Maris Inc., which is located in Bethlehem. So local companies, good people. Yeah, if you're exactly. So that's a laugh right there. So the idea here is I'm trying to basically level out all that audio, but it has to be kind of believable, if that makes sense. You can't have everything be perfectly flat, or else it's just going to sound totally weird. So in Adobe Audition, I typically use two things. I'll come in here and I'll go to single band compressor, and I'll use the preset that they have called Voice Leveler, which is really good at bringing up the lowest points of like recorded audio. Like, they know that it accounts for the fact that there's going to be a jump in signal from when there's nothing to when there's someone talking. But even if they're talking really quietly, it's still going to pick up that bottom end and raise it a little bit. But it's not going to really raise that lower stuff when you're totally silent. So you're not going to get a bunch of like hiss in the background and that crap. You're just going to get your low end raised, and your high end is going to get pulled down a little bit so that you can actually hear it. It doesn't clip, doesn't blast someone's eardrums if they're listening in headphones. So I use Voice Leveler there. And then my second effect will typically be, where is it? Filter and EQ, go into parametric equalizer. So this is just an EQ. It's here's all of your low end, your low frequencies from 0 to 100 hertz, and then up into 30K, which is like really, 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 really high end, like crystalline sounding things. Again, I just use a preset on here. Like vocal enhancer works really well. It cuts out the low end, so any of that like hum in the background, or like anything really bassy, like someone grabbing a microphone or moving around the mic stand, that's going to give that low end sort of kind of sound. That gets cut right out. We sweeten up the highlights, so the sort of high end, the more treble end of people's voices gets accented, so you hear, like S's pretty well. So you have to be careful with that. You don't want to bump it up too much that it starts to pop, but that's why I compress it first, because I'll get the extreme highs and the extreme lows kind of closer together before putting this on, so that there aren't too many like really, really loud parts of the frequency that are, or parts of the signal that are coming through. Yeah, so that's what I would typically use, and I would process a signal that would be much more jagged than this, and it would end up looking like this. You got to hit apply, and then you can add that in. Let's see, this clip, I'm not sure if I have to edit it at all. Typically what I do is I'll export the raw file of our entire conversation before I edit the video. I'll put that in the video and I'll line it up to everything, because I have our clap in there. You do that for sync, so that both the cameras that you're recording with and the audio devices that you're recording with can sync up in post. I have, my camera records audio as well, but even if your camera, for some reason, you forget to record audio, or you have it switched off or something like that, when you clap, you want to make sure that it's within view of the lens, because then you can look at your hands, and the moment that your hands touch, that's when the peak in audio would be. And then from there, you can kind of fine tune if it's like a little bit laggy or a little bit ahead. But typically, you'll be able to do that fairly easily as long as you have that clap in frame. So yeah, I'd export that raw clip, the whole raw file by itself. Let's see, I'm gonna move this chat over so I can see when anyone is chatting in. Yeah, so you take that big long raw clip, and I would process the whole thing like this. That way, when it's in Premiere Pro, when I'm editing the video, I'm editing to the final file, so I don't have to go in and do this to a whole bunch of different little clips. I get that done and out of the way, and then I had an issue in the past where I accidentally just uploaded that by itself, but you don't want to have like your intro and you're talking and all this stuff before the actual start of the podcast. Like, you want to just have the same audio that you have clipped into your episode. So that means I had to cut off the beginning and the tail of these things, and I think that I did that with this file already.
Welcome to the FCMG podcast today.
Yep, that's what we're looking for. All right, so that looks like that's good there. Let's move this along. Oh, and let's check out the end.
Yeah,
Mystery.
that's a good analogy. Episodes.
Designer and all-around creative professional in the area. You can find her working at Maris, and you should definitely check them out if you're looking for web design and all kinds of stuff like that.
Come ask Ashley to do your website.
Yeah. Well, it's always a little awkward getting the handshake in here, but thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for watching another episode of the FCMG podcast. As always, peace.
There we go. All right. So we've got that going for us. So this file is good by itself. So let's I'm going to bring up the actual location of that file quick. Okay. So CMG podcast. Ashley Reinhard. Okay. Yeah, so here's that. That's our original video file. Here's our original export. Let's see. Which one is... Yeah, this is the one that we're working with right now. Wave, and then this is MP3 audio. Did I do them both? 12.8, 12.20. Okay, so you might actually... I might be able to show you what I mean here. Okay, so let's pull up the MP3 here. Okay, now let's see.
I can hear myself breathe.
Yeah, so this is all the raw audio. This is our, we're sitting there having a conversation beforehand. I think it starts about here.
And then sophomore.
Nope. All right, so maybe around here.
Yeah.
Sparks it as a kid.
I think a lot of people start that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. So I'll show you what I do here. I'll show you the difference when we add that single band compressor. We do voice leveler. And then filter and EQ, parametric EQ. Real simple, just go into vocal enhancer. Cuts off that low end, raises those highs, pulls it down at about 300. 300 hertz. There's like this, I don't know, you can kind of listen when you play audio. You can hear the tone. There's some programs where you're doing this in an EQ and you can isolate the sound. I forget what it's called. My buddy Justin uses it all the time and it looks awesome. But you can basically click on a frequency and then hear just the range of that frequency. You can select how wide the range is that you want to hear. And then you can pull out sounds that just sound a little odd.
Yeah. So your mom was a big influence on you then with creativity in that way.
Definitely.
Interesting.
You hear that kind of muffled, like whoa, 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 in there.
So then
when we pull that out,
we've got, as always, we have our little list here.
It starts to clean up the voice.
That sort of inspiration that trickled into school. So like you were doing more classes that were oriented towards that, and you had teachers along the way that would sort of
standard EQ
bolster that creativity, right?
Yeah. All throughout like
low end,
elementary school, middle school, I always loved art class.
Scoop the mids just a little bit.
And then in high school,
sounds great. So that's the combination that I typically like to use. You have to apply it first. I'm pretty sure I've already got it on the other clip. Let's yeah, this is the actual clip from here. So this is the episode that I pulled out. Let's go back to that clip. Let's close this one. Nope. All right, so this is the wave.
Out of curiosity, I'm just thinking about like how you're talking about printers and all this stuff. Like,
okay, let's see. Do we have this leveled properly first? Oh. Is it not liking when we... Let's get this routed to the proper place. If you're ever having issues with playback in Premiere Pro, go into here. Okay. Yes. All right. Let's affect this. Let's go back to Focusrite. Yes. Okay. All right. Doesn't want to use that. Let's Wait, no, I don't need an input. Let's do no input and okay. Yes. Wow, it really doesn't like this. Let's go to speakers. All right, and then give me 1 second. This might still work. There we go. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, so this isn't quite leveled. We want to get this audio up to, let's see, it's going to calculate our peak amplitudes here. And because it's all pretty close, I'd say that's maybe 2 or 3 decibels there. It's a long file, so it's going to take a little while. But the idea is yeah, there we go, negative 2.7. So those are some of our highest peaks. And I could comfortably get those within decimal points of 0. You don't really want to be over 0 because then you're going to be peaking in your signal. That's not good. So let's do 2.2. Bring up to 0.5. There we go. That sounds much better. All right, so let's save that. Let's go back to here. This obviously needs to have some gain applied to it. We don't want to double those effects. Let's remove those. But let's add some amplitude. So what was that, 2.2?
Yeah.
With the advent of 3D printers and like how common they've become now and how inexpensive they've become, how do you feel like that would have changed your experience in that program?
We had one at school that we could use, and I did use.
Sounds much better. Not that it really affects the sound at all, but let's apply that. You'll see the difference in the waveform. Boom. Bounces up. Lovely. All right, so let's save that. I mean, I'm hold on. All right, so here's the thing. I believe I opened this file in Adobe Dynamic Link, which means that it's linked to the original file in Premiere Pro. Yep. Okay. So when I go back into Premiere, it's now, because I saved it, it's going to be updating the peak file here. So I have to go back into gain and subtract that 2.2. a good point to be showing you there. That's definitely the high point of the conversation. No, we Ashley and I, we ended up talking about programming. We talked about web design, how to design your websites that are a little bit more user friendly, UI, all of these different points. So I'm gonna be going through and actually adding titles to all these things. So you're gonna see the process of me adding those in, and then I just realized how cool that looks back up there. Nice, I like that setup. Okay, it's kind of funny. As soon as I realized I like that setup, I actually just moved this desk. That's what this is on right now. So we are going to still have this sort of desk style conversation. I'm just doing it in a slightly different way. Alrighty. So let's see here. That's all back. That's all good. Wave. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the place where I go, I post these is Buzzsprout. I'm going to log in off screen. Alrighty. And we're going to go up here. Okay. So we're going to upload a new episode. I have 6 more hours that I can upload in this cycle. Basically, Buzzsprout, you have these different... there's different tiers that you can have that allow you to upload different amounts of time. And within that, they'll give you different perks as well. So, like, I'm on a tier where they give you, I think, 6 hours on a cycle, and you know it's only so much for additional hours per month if you just want to get them a la carte, or you can switch up to a higher plan. But the plan that I have offers the ability to post to directories as well. So I've got a listing on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's not showing in here. I'm not sure why, but once I have, the idea is once I have some more viewership, then I can post some of these other ones like iHeartRadio. I think in Google Podcasts they require some minimum stream numbers or something like that. There was some reason why I didn't add those in, but for now I'm going straight to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But you can also go to fcmg.buzzsprout.com and go directly to our page if you want to listen on Spotify, get the RSS feed, or just listen directly here. So we're going to be posting another one of these right now. Let's first I just noticed a typo. Boom. Beautiful. Uniformity. Love it. I mean, when it comes to title conventions. That's just about it. Okay, so let's see here. Hey, it's Ashley. Ashley's actually watching right now via Facebook. Thank you for watching, Ashley. So let's upload a new episode here. I'm going to choose a file. Let's go into... Actually, I'm going to drop it in, because then I can find it off screen. Okay, this is not the one. This is the one, I believe. Yes. Yeah. All right. So you can just drag and drop your files directly on there, which is nice. And then you can go to town editing. Let's go in here. I'm going to look at the way that I name all these. FCMG podcasts. There we go. Yep. All right. And now is when we decide what to call this episode with Ashley. So Ashley does web design and programming. Ashley Reinhardt. And then we add in our dates. Boom, boom. And let's check what that was. All right, we obviously have to edit some of these still. Let's go to the actual file. Alrighty. Podcast. Ashley Reinhardt, 12/08/2019. There we go. 12/08/2019. All right. Then you're going to add in your description, your episode summary. Descriptions, I typically, I try and add some information from the episodes, some kind of major key points. At some point, I might go in there and actually add like timestamps, which I think could be really helpful for having people navigate through. All right, I want to listen to this part of the podcast, or I want to listen to this part of the podcast. Like, this is the subject that I'm interested in. It makes sense to give your viewers ways to navigate your media. So like I've done this before in a in like a reel that I put together. Instead of putting together 15 different reels, I put up this reel on YouTube, and then I had timestamps to all of the different places where you could go if you wanted to watch like slow-mo footage, or if you wanted to watch like you know, low light footage, or stuff like that, or you know, different types of situations. Like one was all commercial, and then there was a short film section, and then there was one that was all music videos. So like, depending on what someone would want to see, they could jump in there, or they could just watch the whole thing as a single piece and not get bothered by like chapters or anything like that. They would just watch it like a film. So that can be really good for media. I'm not like, I've seen some other podcasters do this. Like, I'm pretty sure Jocko does this in some of his. He might just list like, this is the time where we talk about this, and this is the subject, and then at this point we get into this. But it can be good for, you know, people to navigate your stuff. Alrighty, let's give this a description. There's ink. All right, so here's where you want to kind of talk about key chapters throughout your piece. So I'm gonna actually go back to the file, and we're gonna listen through and get some kind of reminders throughout, and talk, like, see the subjects that we talk about. So everyone's first episode with the FCMG podcast, though, does start the same. So about her. Sort of people's backgrounds and creativity. All right, so let's go in here. Let's kind of listen through a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of cool
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I have another mechanism for doing this. So this is when I record these podcasts. Where's my cell phone? There it is. When I record these podcasts, I make a point to write a list with the guest beforehand. And in that list, we cover points about things that we want to talk about. So it works out really well when you want to go back, figure out what you chatted about. So right here, just got a list. That's not on autofocus, but you get what I'm trying to say. There's a list on my phone. Basically, you can scroll up and down, and I'll see all of the different points of like what I was chatting about. So I'm going to use that right now. I'm going to pop this in my little holder here. And sweet. We are going to alrighty. So let's go back to that description. Tyler School of Art. That's Temple, Philadelphia's School of Art School. I believe they moved just before Ashley got in there. So she got to the new campus, which is cool. All right, we're going to structure this a little bit different. And there. And then Ashley also gives us what would that be? Okay. Alrighty. Top 3 online best practice tips. That's going to be really nice. Stay tuned till the end for the functional differences between different coding languages. Yeah, that was an interesting podcast. It's like I definitely learned a lot. As someone who has like a tiny little dabbling in like HTML, just doing basic stuff in websites and adding in snippets here and there. I usually use website builders. Like I work on Shopify, which you don't need to know HTML or CSS at all. You don't need to know liquid code or any of that stuff. But if you do, you can do some like crazy powerful stuff with their websites. So it's definitely a huge asset, but it's not something that I like got deeply into. So having information like this, like having someone to chat with who knows their stuff and is really like they're specified in this field and not they haven't just gone over it in a general term, is really interesting. Like there's a lot to learn from this, and like it makes me wonder, like, man, what if I got into coding? That's such a cool like option out there, and I'm happy that I have friends that are in that field too, because it's like to me it's such a smart language to learn. Okay, I believe that's the website. Is it just Maris.com or Marisinc.com? Yeah, Maris. Sweet. So this is the website that they have. And I love their design structure. Ooh, look at that parallax. I'm such a big fan of that. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so Maris.com. Maris Inc. At their website. Man, I can't think about how to talk today. All right. At their website, marisinc.com. Okay, when we go through this, we might find some. Let's do that because we're going out today. Typically, I would schedule for the future. But this week, as you can tell, I'm a little bit behind. What is it? Programmer Ashley Reinhard talks. Education. There we go. Oh, I think this might be new. Artist / guest. I don't think I've seen that before. We'll take a look at that on the other one, see if that's a thing. All right, so we're talking FCMG podcast is obviously something that I want to have on there. Let's do web design. Best practices. Programming languages. Coding for web. Some other keywords we can add in here. Basically, you wanna have keywords that aren't so general, like web design, that there's gonna be millions and millions and millions of hits on there because you're gonna get lost in that kind of that medium. But if you put it in like web design best practices, that's a little bit more specified. It's web design and specifically the best practices for web design. Thank you there on Twitch. I appreciate the love for the beard. Feel free to ask any beard questions anytime. Sorry, my chat is over there, so it's like I don't notice it right away. It takes me a little while to see it. But okay, so you want to have your keywords specified enough that you're going to be getting an audience. Like there's enough people that search for it, but it's not so many people that search for it that you're going to get buried because there's other like big channels that are dropping these things on there. So we're kind of specifying our keywords a little bit more here. Podcast, coding for web. Let's do Tyler School of Art. Think web design. So those are pretty, like, decently specific. I might go back and either add some more or take some out. This is season 1. This is episode 4 now. Cool. Episode 4. I mean, doesn't contain explicit content. I think there's like 1 or 2 curse words in there, but you know, it happens. It's adult language, but let me actually double check that. Content in podcasts. Okay, they might reject my feed when I submit it, but I'll see that, and then I can always adjust that and resend it to them. Okay, so that's the details that I want on here. Again, this is buzzsprout.com. If you use this, we'll take a look at their options in a bit, because I'm pretty sure that they have a free version where you can just post stuff. You don't have to actually pay for it, but you don't get to send it out to all these different places. Cool. Save episode. Waiting for the upload to finish. All right, so that's going to sit there for a little while. We're going to let that hang out in the background. So our audio is done. Audio is all posted. It's going up right now. So we're going to go back in here, and we're going to adjust this. So I work off of a template. So all of these podcasts are in the same project file. And then I can reuse things like that upper thirds, that section. I just have to edit them every time for different people, which, I mean, that's not that hard. Okay, so this link media, locate, that's going to be my downloads. Sure. Boom. Don't forget to stay hydrated, everybody. Cheers. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so this is all right. Ashley doesn't want social media in there, so we'll do that instead. And then here, yeah, there we go. You can kind of squish them together just a little bit. I don't want to go too close, but okay, yeah, that's way too close. All right, so like that's about where I'm comfortable. And let's see if we can stretch these a little bit in some other ways. Could and then let's see if we can find, okay, so we were going to put in Maris for her contact. So let's see here. Contact. Okay, so there's like phone number and stuff like that. I'm looking for an email address. I feel like something didn't load for me. Like whatever is supposed to be in that box. That's cool though. Okay, so maybe they don't have an email address on here. I could just put in the website. That'll work. That's so like one is so stretched and one is so small. All right, so I'm gonna do something to fix this, because that just doesn't fly for me. We're talking about web design. We're talking about best practices for design and stuff here. Can't be doing that. Come on. No. Nope. Yeah, and that looks trashy too. So how do we get all of this in here? Organize it. Make it look nice. Because this stuff needs to be bigger. What if we went with web programmer? Here we go. Designer / programmer. I like that better. That gives us some more room to mess around with. And get that back up there. Looks a whole heck of a lot better. Contact her at maris.com. This stuff is looking weird though. Sure. That works for me. Beautiful. That's all good. Don't need that. All right. So that part is good. And it should show up. Boom. Right there. Beautiful. Okay. That didn't update the def created thing. Why did that not update the def created thing? Okay, what did we have there now? Sure. Okay, did that work? Let's go back there and check. There we go. Updated. Designer programmer Ashley Reinhard. Welcome to the FCMG podcast. It is December 8th, 2019. All right. So basically now we have to add in the like there's titles that I do for all the other ones. So let's go back to like Foley would have those on there. Let's go to his sequence. None of his stuff is going to be linked. So we're going to go in here. These titles need to be linked, apparently. All right, link media, locate. Okay. Beautiful. All right, so those are all good. So we're going to copy these right in here. Let's paste them down here so we don't mess up our stuff. All right, let's grab those things. Let's pop them up here. Come on. There. Yep, and we want that over our cinema bars, the Hateful Eight 1080p 2.76. That changes it into widescreen, but by cropping in, so it's not the ideal way of doing it. I understand. I would love to shoot anamorphic, but maybe with that new Zero-y lens that's coming out. Thank you for following there. I don't even know how to pronounce it. What was that? Coco Devica? Coco Devica? Appreciate it. Like your name. That's cool. All right, so we're adding in these titles here. These are free templates that you can get. All right, so these two, I'm gonna move these down a little bit. All right, we're gonna position that about there, and then this one we're gonna drop down as well. Yeah, so we're right in there. This is not 5. This is 08. Yeah, got a bunch of podcasts recorded at once, and I do like to leave the actual date that I recorded them in there. I find that that's a little bit more like if they say something that's like specific to, you know, oh, okay, you know, this is how to do this the best way, then you know that that's as of that day. Like they might come on again at another date and say, oh yeah, that thing that I told you to do last time, don't do that anymore. That's terrible for your channel. That's a bad idea. Don't do that anymore. You know, it's not typical that it swings that wildly, but at the same time, it's like social media and creative mediums like this, working online, working on social media and live streaming. It's a very highly changeable market. Algorithms can change because all of these, you know, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff, those are private companies that can change their policies on a whim. Not obviously on a whim, but it takes a little bit more than that. But they can do it, is what I mean. Like they're not beholden to us. They are in a way, but not on paper. Gotta have that coffee. Alrighty, so this is obviously not fully crappy. Yep, I think that's the one. So we're gonna go into here. Okay, you gotta edit up here. My watch is reminding me to try standing up because I've been sitting here for an hour. Yeah, that's what happens when you edit. If you're an editor. Editor. Ashley Reinhard. Let's see if that fits. Boom. And it does. Wicked. Web designer programmer. We're going to kick that box out a little bit. Boom. Done. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to pull these back further. even a little bit more further. Cool. All right, so that's our opening titles. We've got that good. On the actual episode itself, I did do a little bit of editing. I will show you what I do. Okay, so here, I'll turn off all the other stuff. So this is obviously moved down a little bit. I'm gonna turn off my basic correction, turn off my curves. Is there... Yeah. All right. So there's nothing else that's really affecting this. So I have, if you go into Premiere Pro and you're editing video, my favorite way to edit your color is through something called Lumetri Color. This is what obviously comes up when you're going into the color editing panel, but it's also an effect that you can use. So like if we go in here, you can hit Lumetri Color, go into curves, and you have all the same, creative, basic correction. You have all the same interface as you do here. So you can do this in your effects window as well. All right. So yeah, you can do that stuff in your effects window. What I typically do is I start with creative. So I shot this in a profile called HLG, which is hybrid log gamma. It's a gamma setting that affects the dynamic range and the color saturation, stuff like that, like the way that your camera takes in light and information. So when I shoot in that, it gets this sort of grayer but still very colorful look to it. Like the saturation is kind of weirdly low. So I go into creative and I add a LUT. It's called Leaming LUT Pro. Sony HLG for Rec 709. I put that to about 75%. You can see that really, darkens up my footage and really kind of pushes it, like adds a lot of contrast to it. So the saturation is a little bit higher. There's a bigger difference between the shadows and the highlights. I add a tiny little bit of sharpening, a little bit of vibrance, but that's it. And then I would probably go into curves. I find that's the most forgiving way to edit your footage. And there we're already starting to look pretty good. Like we're getting, it's kind of pushing up our highlights and our midtones a little bit, adding a lot of contrast, but also adding a bit of saturation. I pulled out a little bit of the greens because I find Sony sensors add just a little too much green in the highlights and a little tiny bit in the midtones. It's not very bad, but I find if you pull the gradient down a little bit at the high end, it just sweetens it right up. Yeah, so add that. Nothing really else there. And then basic correction. I'm going to be doing just a little bit of balancing the color. You can see there I shifted a little bit more orange, and that's it. I actually didn't do anything with the contrast or exposure or highlights or anything like that. And when you're editing, really, you want to be looking at these Lumetri scopes because that's going to show 100 is your pure white, which would be clipping. And then your 0 is pure black, where it's also going to be clipping. So it's kind of low saturation here. I think the like there's points around it that are obviously pure black. So in my final image, there is pure black, especially when you add, boom, that focuses our frame a little bit. You saw that I had shifted it a little bit down. So that adds like my pure black into the signal, but it's not showing in the Lumetri because that's just based on the clip itself. The clip under there doesn't really hit pure black except for in a couple tiny little spots. So like around here in the very shadows of my shirt, and then back here in the shadows of the couch and behind Ashley. A little bit on the headphones too, probably. But I'm not really crushing those blacks really hard. I've just got it touched on the bottom, and I I have a little bit of medium and high tone, but basically I just wanted to get our skin tones, which is me and then Ashley right here. You can see those red parts that are popping out. That's like our faces, you know, that mix in there. So that's what you're seeing. And I wanted to get that gentle gradient of blue across the frame because that's really this right here. You're seeing as we go across the frame, there's a saturation of blue in the background here, and then there's a saturation of red on this side. I find that gives a really nice like visual balance to a scene. You see I do it back here as well. What do you know? Okay, so let's see. So we have that on there. I'd add the bars, which I don't typically like to do. I would prefer to shoot widescreen natural. Like it'd be really cool to work anamorphic, but I don't have the equipment for that. So in post it is. Okay. Titles can come back. Upper thirds can come back. Now, let's see. We're just going to watch through this. We're going to make sure that there's, if there's any spots where we talk about links or stuff like that, we'll add in a little title in the lower third. But this is something that we can do in video editing, is we can speed up the video and we can listen through and just hear all the peaks. So instead of showing you this, I'm basically going to put some music on for you guys. And then I'm going to work on this in the background because I know that this isn't the most interesting thing. So instead, I'm going to pay attention to the stream. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat. I'm getting notifications from Facebook, from YouTube, and from Twitch. So on any of those mediums, feel free to leave a comment. Ask me anything media related. I would love to answer your questions. And thank you for the most recent people who followed, everyone that's been watching lately. But yeah, I'll be working on this in the background, and feel free to watch. Cheers. I'll see you soon. Justin, that would be, you can find that, it's called the Lumetri Scopes panel. If you go into Window, it's going to be right down here. Lumetri Scopes. I find it infinitely handy when editing video. Thank you for the question, by the way. Okay, feel free to ask me anything while I'm doing this, but I'm going to be going silent for a little bit just so you don't have to listen to that audio. I'm going to mute my mic because I'll otherwise just be mouth breathing into the thing. No one needs to hear that. So feel free to ask me anything. I'll take a look at the chat every now and then. And yeah, I'll be editing audio in the meantime. Justin, I just noticed your question. For those of you who are watching on other mediums, Justin just asked, is there a way to make the project stop where you start playing it, like a DAW would do? DAW is a digital audio workstation. I hate having to constantly drag my slider back when I press play. Let's see about that. Honestly, I don't use that feature that much because I know in Audition you have that, but there should be some ways to do, like, adjust your cursor settings in here. So this would be like timeline. Let's see where this pops up. So one of these would be where that would happen. Snap playhead and timeline when snap is enabled. No, that's okay, so that's if you want to snap to the beginning of clips or ends of clips as you move around. Set focus on timeline when performing insert overwrite edits. No. That's like, this one is a little bit different. So it's like if you play to the end of a video and then you hit space to like restart to play again, basically it'll restart the entire file, which is, I'm actually going to turn that off because I don't like that. Show clip mismatch. Fit clip dialog, no. Maybe in playback. Pause media encoder. Pre-roll, post-roll. Yeah. No, so I'm not really seeing that option. I'm sure that, like, there's got to be a way to do it. I mean, playback or timeline. I would think that there would be an option to do that, but timeline, playback, auto scrolling. I don't know. Page scrolled. Save on a little RAM there. So yeah, I'm actually not sure if that's an option. I'm gonna look at. Let's look that up really quick. Actually, I'm not even sure how we'd look that up. That would be kind of like an auto restart or something like that. But in Audition, so like if you're editing the, yeah, that might be worth googling. I know that you can use, like, I added a little note in the comments there to hit L to fast forward. Basically, while I've been working here, I'm listening for points where Ashley talks about, this business or that company or anything that I can add links to, so people can kind of like hop out and check them out during the stream. But you can use L to fast forward. K would pause. J rewinds. So you can adjust your speed accordingly using those. You can kind of jump around a little bit, but there might be a way to do that. Man. I know with controllers, like I have this thing here. It's not plugged in. Korg Nano Control. This little guy. Basically there's marker buttons. So like right over here, there's little buttons for markers where if you set a marker, say you're scrolling along and you realize, okay, like I want to start editing from this point and be able to jump back to it really often, you click M, and in your timeline, so you click M once and that'll add a marker to whatever you're working on. You click M again, it'll bring up this dialog box. You can add some stuff, but basically like I'm not going to use that one, but basically you can then use your markers as like, okay, let's just clip back to the marker and it'll continue to play. If I'm not mistaken, your playhead will continue to go, and then you hit back to the last marker and that'll keep bringing you back. And you can move those markers around as you want. You can add them here and there. You can set markers with the Korg Nano control. I think that would be the way to do that, but it's sort of like a workaround. It's not really like a built-in thing. Yeah, playhead stop on start, I think would be the thing there. You hit the nail on the head with that one, Justin. This is my friend Justin Mitchell from King Studios. If you check out kingstudiospa.com, that's the website that we work on for him. We do some cool stuff together, and hopefully at some point, I got to talk to you about this, Justin, but I just want to say, jams, live streams. Anyway, let's keep working on this thing. So I'm going to kick my mic off until I see another question, and we'll keep scrolling through this. I'm just looking for places that I can add links on that lower thirds, and when I get there, I'll show you the first one. So I constantly think about doing this when it comes to the podcast that I edit, especially the videos, is like adding in little titles for I just got a comment from Nate again about the beard. Thank you, Nate, appreciate it, you're lovely. So I constantly debate whether I should put in titles for each question and like what we're talking about at that time, because like there's long expanses where you could easily kind of mark it out like a chapter. Say, you know, we're talking about her history at the Tyler School of Art. So this section we could be like Tyler School of Art or something like that. But it I don't know, it doesn't really feel super necessary to me when you can put it in the description on YouTube and just have like a hyperlink to that point in time. I guess it helps if someone's just scanning through, but I don't know. Let me know what you think about stuff like that. Yeah, okay. Nate thinks that we should add those. I might start doing that. I might start formatting it a little bit more succinctly. In which case I can add edits like that a little bit easier. But I might even start doing like a chapter design, because I know that in Premiere Pro and editing programs like this, you can do it sort of like a DVD where you have like, you know, skip points and you use markers, just like I was talking about with Justin, how you can use markers for popping back while doing playback. You can use markers for chapters like that in final exports. So I might try to implement that in some of the next ones. I don't quite have like I think that'll be for like people's return visits. I think that's going to be a good format, because a huge chunk of this so far is just talking about people's history. So it gives them a bit of you know, it validates their experience in what they're doing, gives you a bit of information on what they do and how they learn to do it, where their experience comes from, and a little bit about their professional life, things like that. So that's kind of what I want to focus on for these first episodes, and I think that just leaving it like this for now is going to be good, but I definitely will do that in the future. So thank you, Nate. By the way, go check out Nate Will. He's a rapper and beat producer. He does some awesome stuff. We've had him on the podcast before. He was episode 1. He was the first one out here. And we really appreciate you coming out, Nate. We got to have you on again. We got to chat about some new stuff. And actually, I wanted to do one of these with you, one of these live streams where it's going up to a couple of different places. People can watch from, you know, your channel or from my page or from your page and from my, like, all different setups. And I want to do something with you that's more beat oriented. So like we're doing the music side of things, and I have a very strong background in music. Like that's where a lot of my my love for videography and photography and stuff like that comes from, like doing it for musicians and making music videos and things like that. So it's definitely something that I want to do more in live streams. So those jams with King Studios, and definitely some stuff with Nate Williams. I think that'll be fun. So yeah, thank you for the comments, Nate. I really appreciate it. And your opinion is always appreciated. We love it. All right, so I'm gonna keep scrolling through this. I'm gonna pop my mic off until Buddy just commented about wanting to do more Speed Halo, which is something that we played last night. It was ridiculous, but that'll be posted up on YouTube soon. You'll see the Speed Halo rounds that we played. But if you want to watch more Halo stuff, definitely watch on Twitch a lot more. Twitch TV / FCMG_studio at FCMG_stay. Sorry about that. Little brain fart. I was thinking about things while trying to speak at the same time, and I just got the signals crossed. That's where you'll find me streaming games every now and then. I you know, end of a work night or something like that, you gotta have some downtime, so we're out there streaming. Definitely check it out. But for now, we're working on the producer's log. We're gonna get on there at some point. You know me, Subo. I could probably get back in later, a little bit, maybe not later today. I gotta get this finished first, but then yeah, definitely. So I'm going to keep forwarding through this. I'm going to find these points to edit, and I'll pop my mic off until someone else has got a question. Thank you for watching. Ask me anything about photo, video, media, any of this stuff. Podcasting, live streaming, hit me. Okay, I actually just found a point here. All right, so I'm gonna pop back on the audio for desktop, and basically, okay, so around here somewhere. Not there. So there was one last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to here. It was like the journey from generalizing to specifying. By the end of I'm gonna find this spot again. All right, so here we start talking about Blender a little bit, and I'm definitely going to add a little link in there because Blender is a free CGI program that's just insane. Blender.org. Okay. Blender 2.81. Just go to blender.org. Nice and easy. All right, cool. So we're going to add in a little link. I might go, yeah, I'm going to pop into another one. So I had links pop up with Nate. Let's go to his podcast. Doesn't have the media connected right now. So we're working on a different computer. Okay, and then these graphics. We're going to copy one of those, go in here, drop it alongside just in case it does exactly that and falls to the bottom. I know I could adjust where that sits, but I'm kind of lazy right now. So Let's see. And then we were around, I think it was like 9 or so minutes in. I definitely just moved the playhead, which is kind of dumb.
Concept in talk. Yeah. So the only thing I had to pay for at school was if I wanted something done. Just being able to manipulate 3D models, which is why I tried to do it in Photoshop back in the day. I don't know. I just never really get to build a board game, and I might have visually turned them out 3D and melted together. Yeah, I had 2 nice large windows. Working on.
Here we go. We're getting close.
More on the digital side. Like those things, but I really love programming, and I really love doing like digital animation. Yeah. My sophomore year, one of my electives was I really I didn't have some of those things that
Where were we talking about it?
was kind of the mentality, take whatever.
So I know I start talking to the camera, so I can kind of look for myself there. Do-do-do-do. Here we go.
I think so, yeah. So we'll probably be getting into that in the future here.
Okay, so now let's edit this thing. Let's do this. Free CGI software. Blender. And you know what? I could just go with one of these. Like, I don't need to have both Blender and then blender.org. Like, we can just do the one. So I kind of like the red better for that. Let's just cut this out. We don't need that. Nope. Simple solutions to simple problems. Blender. Okay. Free CGI software. So this is the sort of template that I'm going to go off of. I'm going to use this now for any other pop-ups that come through.
I've been going through the YouTube channel for that. It's pretty awesome.
I just barely turned my mic off before sneezing there. All right, so now we also talk about Blender Guru, which is something that I really believe in. I think that's an amazing course. I think they have it on here as well. It's like learning or something like that. Woo. Big sneeze before. My sinuses are all kerfuffled. Education. Okay. I think. Oh, no, that's under the get involved. Never mind. Okay, so we're going to find YouTube. Blender Guru, I think it's called. I do believe. Yep, this guy. All right, so this guy does incredible tutorials. And we're going to find...
Writing's not that easy, but...
We don't need to know how to render millions of objects. We need to know how to render one. Okay, Blender 2.8. Beginner tutorial. So this is the one. We're going to find the link for that. Sure. Let's just copy that in. No. Okay. So it's called Blender Guru. Blender 2.8 beginner tutorial. Let's do that. Yeah, because then I can link. Yeah, I can have that up in the pop-up in the top. Okay, so let's do this. Let's hop in here. You know what? I'm going to use the one from Nate because I want those 3 colors, or at least the option. So let's drop that in there. Okay, let's do this on YouTube, Blender Guru. And then what is that thing called again? Blender 2.8 beginner tutorial. Beautiful. Looks lovely. Don't need that. Okay, take a look at it.
I'm not sure. It's the one that Blender directly links to download and stuff like that. Yeah, which is like, and it's fantastic. Like I'm probably 20 videos into it, and I can just start to manipulate shapes, but it's that detailed. Yeah. But it took me 20 videos. Up in the top corner, you'll see the little thing. Yeah. Check it out. Blender tutorial. Yeah. So okay.
Sweet. Okay, that's working well. Also, I literally just realized that the audio for this program isn't coming through for you guys. I don't think it's showing up in my desktop audio, so I'm gonna see if I can change that. Maybe that's really weird. Let's see here. Edit preferences, audio hardware. Let's go to Focusrite. I think it was just messing up before because, oh, yeah, okay, because I was getting an MME device error. Alrighty, okay, yep, I get it. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, guess we're not getting audio for that, which is probably good because if you want to hear the podcast, you should probably go to Buzzsprout. Let's actually check that out right now because I think that might be success. Your audio file has been uploaded. Details saved. Boom. Okay, so you can now go to. That's a useless link. That's let's go to the actual website here. Okay. So you can go to fcmg.buzzsprout.com. Like so. And now you can listen to the episode. That's on right now. You can find that on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, which is another platform. It's on iTunes. But yeah, listen to that. Listen to that podcast. Tell me what you think. And I'll still be editing the video until that's done. But yeah, we'll get that up very shortly. So I'm gonna crank through this so that you don't have to listen. I love these titles, by the way. These motion graphics. So these things, you can cut them and they'll still have that outro, which is really nice. If you want to remove that, you can simply go into effects and delete the keyframes for opacity and the text keyframing and all that stuff. And then you have just regular text. Works out great. Those are free online. If you look up free motion graphics templates for Adobe, you'll find the ones that look like this. Like they're not hard to find. I believe they're animated motion graphics templates. That's what they might be called. But yeah, let's keep going. We can close out on these. I'm gonna keep forwarding ahead. I'm going to kick my mic off and I'm going to play some music for you because I just realized if the desktop audio is not streaming from there, might as well give you some audio. Feel free to ask me any questions while I'm editing this. I'm just looking for keyframes to put in, or key points to put in titles. Talk to you soon. All right, so I found another spot where I'm going to add in one of those titles.
Is it Alicia Nicole?
It's here where Ashley starts talking about a client that she worked for called Alicia Nicole. This is it's a website. Let's click on the main thing. That does bridal services. So, if I'm not mistaken, bridal parties, photo shoot and TV ready, teeth whitening, makeup lessons, and more. So this is yeah, like hair and makeup artists, getting you all ready for your wedding, getting you perfect for your photo shoots, all that stuff. This is very important. So yeah, this is a website that Ashley worked on. She talks about it in the podcast, and there's some really, really cool functionality that I really like about this. Like they have sections of their website that are just like really, really well designed. Like brides and bridal parties. Let's go here. Yeah, so like they have like a whole list of like these are our prices and these are additional services. You can inquire about this. Here's a short explanation. It's not like hard contrast text that's just going to be a big block of like in your face. Like it's very pleasing to the eye, and then they have a lot of big photos that load quickly. Love notes from our brides. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want. Okay, so I'm going to get back to editing. I'm going to get that that dropped in there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be back in a second because I have a phone call I've got to take. So thank you for sticking around. I'll be back momentarily. Appreciate it. All right, we are back. Let's see. Let me get back on my my double shot here. All right, cool. So, thank you for watching through that little break. So we were talking about Alicia Nicole. We're gonna add in a little title here while we talk about it. Let's see. Let's get. Let's figure out where that ends.
Invoicing system for their drives, and we use the plugin as a base Sprout invoices. And
all right, so we'll cut it off about there. That should be good, and then that should add in that animation.
As a base Sprout invoices.
Not bad. I think that's a little. It's a little tight for some reason. Yeah, why does that happen so quickly? It might just be that it's like Yep, that's the same exact way. So let's just leave that like that. And then I'm going to keep fast forwarding through this. I've got another about half to go, but this is the final step of getting your podcast out. You want to go through this and add all your titles, add all of your video based text stuff. So graphics and whatnot, logos at the end, logos wherever. And, make sure you have all of this finalized. And then we're going to get into exporting and then uploading. So there's 2 more steps after this, and then we're done with everything. We already posted our podcast. That's up at fcmg.buzzsprout.com. If you look that up, you can find the episode with Ashley in it. And, that's where this is going to be. That's where the audio is going anyway. And this is going to be going up to YouTube. So I'll keep plugging away. I'll pop on another tune. These are all Artlist songs that I have a subscription to Artlist, and I go through every now and then and I download some of my favorite tracks that I like to use with video editing. So these are all like video editing tracks. Artlist is a subscription software. You pay about $250 for an entire year, and you can use all of that media within there. I think you're supposed to list your videos with them because you can get copyright strikes sometimes. But if you usually send a dispute in, you say, I've got an active Artlist subscription. This was, downloaded from there. I have documentation if you need it. They usually just approve it. So that makes it nice and easy. And we're going to pop on some more tunes and keep going. I'm going to find, I think, maybe 2 or 3 more of these spots where we can add in some titles. But really, that's going to be it. That'll be it for the end of the video. And then we'll pop into exporting and uploading. The export, I might have to end the stream for. But I'll talk you through uploading before anything gets finalized. But when you're uploading to, exporting video while streaming and doing all kinds of other stuff, it can be a little taxing on your systems. But when you when you're uploading, that's going to be when it's really dragging it down. So I won't show you those parts, but we'll talk you through it. All right, we found another one. Oh, sweet. Thank you, Sina Danny. Appreciate it. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing right now is there's an app that Ashley's talking about. I think it's called Smush.
There's a bunch of them out there.
I've definitely seen like compression ones.
Yeah, I use Smush by WPMU Dev.
Smush by WPMU Dev. Let's see. WPMU Dev. Okay, so we're gonna add this in as a little little thing that's gonna be a link in our description. I'll have that up at the end, and I'm keeping up all of these tabs as I'm editing this. I'm keeping up the tabs for the things that I want to actually link into the website. If I'm not mistaken, I can't actually put up just random website links as cards, but if I can, I'll put those in there. If I can't, then I'll have these up still, and I can just copy them easily into the description. Either way, you're going to want to hang on to these. It's going to be a lot easier to do it that way. Alrighty, so the most 5-star reviews. Wicked. Premium.wpmudev.org is where you find it. So let's add this title in here. Drag this one over.
On my website. Yeah, I use Smush by WPMU.
So let's do this. Change these around. WordPress plugin. And it's called Smush. I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, Smush. You can find that at, is it premium.wpmudev or just WPMUdev? That would work. Let's see if that. Okay, yeah, so that'll redirect you there. So I can just put that in basically. WPMUdev.com. I might as well put in the premium. Oh, click the wrong button there. Okay, let's take one look at it. All right, so today what I'm doing is I'm showing you the step-by-step process of posting a podcast. We already went through and we posted it on Buzzsprout. You can actually listen to the podcast that I'm working on right now if you go to fcmg.buzzsprout.com. You can also listen on Spotify and iTunes, but the next part that we're working on is getting up the video. So right now we are working on Premiere Pro. We're adding in this little graphic here.
Smush by WPMU Dev on my WordPress site.
That was smooth. That was you just threw that right in there. All right.
I love their blog. They're fantastic. I do not have the pro version yet, but I will get there. But there's a free version out there, and it does its job really well. So if you can set it up so that way if someone else is using the website.
I'm going to leave that a little bit longer. That way, while she's talking about it, you'll know that it's there.
5,000 pixel wide image, and it will literally smush it down to the right size. So you can set the max width and the max height that any image can totally exist in the WordPress library.
Yeah.
So I usually set it somewhere around 2,000 pixels because we work on really nice iMacs that are 25, 60 pixels wide.
Okay.
Okay, so in order to speed up this part of the process, I've been fast forwarding through some of the content. So I'm gonna fast forward through this. I'm mute it so that you don't have to listen to it. I'm gonna have some music from Artlist, which is a song website. You can get media for your, you can get audio for your videos. for your media, really. But with a subscription, it's like $250 a year. You get unlimited access to all their tracks, and it's really, really helpful. So I've been using some of this on here, and I've really been enjoying it. So I'm gonna pop some more music on, and I'm gonna forward through some of this. I'm gonna listen to all the fast motion audio, so you don't have to. And I'll pop up again soon. Oh, and always, feel free to ask me anything, photo, video, media related, live streams, podcasts, whatever you want. I'll be here, and I'll be watching the chat. Okay, so we're at a point in the video where Ashley is going to be talking about her best practices, her advice for best practices on your websites and things like that. And I got to find the beginning of it because I want to create a list. There were three things in general that she talked about that were web design, SEO performance, and security. And if I can find those spots, I might.
Some of the more technical things that are hard to explain, like the minimal thing, a lot of people don't really understand the concept, or like if you ask them where they're going, they're like, oh, well, where does it go down, right? It's like sometimes the DNS can point it somewhere else, or you can put the name server somewhere else, and then you don't actually have access to your DNS from wherever they put it. So there's a lot of like explanation that comes into that, and why you need good hosting and not just the stupid GoDaddy phone available. Sorry, right now GoDaddy here, but GoDaddy needs to set up your WordPress team. We'll be like, hey, get that like basically the same domain name, like get another domain. I mean, that's just marketing, like yeah, but like I don't like because I think about that they have like a standard price for all their domains, the same thing no matter what.
Okay, scrubbing through something this big is always a little bit difficult.
But domain marketing, don't go crazy.
We're gonna talk best practices.
All right, this is where it starts. Finally, I should just look at. All right, when I'm talking, if I pull up my phone, that's like a new chapter. All right. So when I did Foley's video, he did some advice on best practices for Instagram and social media in general. So I'm going to pull up his video. We're going to go towards the end. Here we go. We're going to take this whole stack. I mean, I only need 3 of them. So you know what? I'll just take those 3. Copy that. Bring it into here. We're going to have to raise this up a couple of times. Make enough room for it. And then we'll paste that there. Yep, we made just enough room for it. We're going to scoot that in. Actually, we're going to need more room because we haven't had an additional track there. And I'm pretty sure it starts before this. Okay, so. Okay, here we go.
All right, well, our next point on here, it has to do with, we're going to talk best practices.
Oh, yeah.
We will discuss it. Get a really good combination of words that you could sell for a lot of money one day.
Yes.
Then go to town.
Yeah.
I know a couple people that do that. They just buy
Domain buying, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. They put it up on GoDaddy. They sell it for as much as they can.
Pretty much.
Nice. All right, well, our next point on here, it has to do with, we're going to talk best practices.
All right, so here we go. Let's change this. There we go.
Incorporate that into our podcast. Let's see. The first thing that we were going to discuss was you had some points that you wanted to make on web design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some points that you wanted to make on web design.
Yeah.
Let's go in here. Change that to web design. Okay. I can see there's some viewers on right now. If you want to ask anything about photo, video, media, stuff like that, feel free. I'll answer any of your questions about podcasting, live streaming, taking photos, taking videos, whatever you want to talk about. I'm basically just editing an episode of the FCMG podcast, which you can find right now on fcmg.buzzsprout.com. It's the new episode with Ashley that just came out today. We posted that earlier in the live stream and talked about the whole process of doing so. And now we're doing the video version of it. So we're going to be talking YouTube, uploading, and exporting from Premiere Pro, all kinds of stuff like that. So we'll be chatting about that soon. Right now, we're just adding in some final titles to the video. I've been scrubbing through, getting all this stuff done. But basically, I started this when I started the stream. So we're about 2.5 hours into editing this, and that's about how long it takes. Everything else that I did was just quick little like stuff that I explained through, but didn't necessarily do while I was on here, because some of it takes like rendering power from your computer, and because I'm doing a live stream at the same time, I don't necessarily have that available. So I'm going to find the next point in her chat. I think it
Okay, I've seen that in a couple places where it's like
to communicate. It's just a pretty.
Okay, so it's like you're putting in alt text for the thing, like the story that you actually want to tell.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're using an image of let's just say Sam Fulton over here on the Full Coverage Media Group website, you're gonna want to say like say Sam Fulton, founder. It looks great across the.
Oh, I forgot to bring those parts in. I was wondering why it looked different. These typically have intros. So let's take one of these. And we're going to pop these in the front. So, okay. Actually like where that one started, so I'm going to drop that there. Web design and web design. Oh, yeah, okay, and I got to adjust the position of this one too. Okay, so let's take a look quick. Motion 1430 by 90. 1430 by 90. Done. So now we get that nice.
Specifically, user experience.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're gonna chat. We're gonna find my next little spot. I think it's gonna be where I pull up my phone.
So it's not a place for me to put in all of the.
During this conversation, Ashley makes some great points about accessibility online. I never realized that alt text and stuff is like for people who maybe they need assistance with vision. So they're not like they're going to a website and they're basically using alt image text to figure out what's actually going on in there. Or maybe they are blind and it's being that alternate text is being read to them so that they can better understand the website. Let's try and find a spot where I pull out my phone.
Don't want to load that many fonts into your website. It's not a good idea. It takes too long to.
Okay, let's see if this is point number 2.
That kind of takes us into you were talking about smaller images and or not smaller images, but like not fewer fonts, not
Okay, so about here is where that's gonna leave us. So we're gonna copy this, continue it along, and then we're gonna move. Well, first of all, let's do this, drop this one in front. Move these way back.
Your entire website and all that stuff,
Yeah.
which contributes to the faster links.
Yes, it does.
Okay, let's adjust these. And that point, let's see what we were talking about. So in general, that's SEO performance that we're talking about. So we're going to put that in there. We talk more on that subject as we get into it. Add that. All right, good. Now let's scan for another point where I pick up my phone. He's going to get moved way back. Oh, and the background of these disappeared as well. There we go. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Come on, pull that phone out. Where is it? Alrighty. Looks like that's going to be where the next one comes in.
I know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna add sliders and stuff like that. That's a different type of
Flattened image, so your mobile version isn't loading all that JavaScript to make the slider function. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna.
Sliders and stuff like that. That's a different type of.
Any kind of movie pieces aside from like the little hover text are usually stuff.
He's now showing like so in the meantime, you wanted to talk about security.
And that's where the last one comes in. Alrighty, sweet. I'll move these over here.
About security.
Security and security. I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if these have end caps, because those obviously got murdered. They do. Okay, so we're going to go with those 3. Copy them. And we're going to drop those right at the end. Okay. That is not where we wanted them. Okay, so we're going to do this. Boom. I'm just going to bring those in, and I'm sure this is going to go for a while. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I'll replace that with the rest of them. Alrighty. Sure. Good enough. All right. So drop that in there. Okay, give me 1 second. I will be right. All right, we are back. Here we go. Let's get back to our shot here. Ashley just came in. I was apparently the door was locked, which isn't normally a thing with me. So apparently that got locked at some point. I think there were our water heaters out, so there's some people coming in and out, and that must have gotten hit, you know. Yeah. So we are just putting in that last Yeah, we're putting in that last set of titles, finishing that up, and then that should be the end of it. The only things that we talk about afterwards is interesting because that's Ashley from this episode in the background. She says hello to everyone. So, all right, we'll take a look at the our list here. Yeah, so after this, it's just the functional differences between different coding languages, which is really interesting, but I'm not going to add any titles to that section. So we're just going to finish up where these end. So let's find actually where that section on the functional differences starts, and then we can just do it like that.
Number in on a website doesn't mean that anyone else can see it unless they really are digging deep and happy.
As soon as that happens, as soon as those cases come out to people in the United States, there's going to be a flood of social media, all hashtag shot on moment.
Yeah.
That's part of their topic. But it's also going to be like a style that no one's ever really seen because they've never seen 10 plus camera shots with those lenses.
Yeah, you're pretty okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a one-level medium focus.
Yeah.
So you get, with one lens, you can put on 3 different actual lenses.
Crazy.
So yeah, if you have to stand a whole lot of the camera, that's a cool thing, first of all. But I think there's going to be a lot of photographers that use the thing.
Yeah.
So if you're one of the first ones that had a whole bunch of media out there, you're going to be at the forefront of the wave.
Yeah.
And there could be a lot of power.
I was gonna say it's the same with cars, but the same with security. Like, if Google's ranking things different ways, you need to know. Yeah. I did one final that was just you and just actually actively read it. And it doesn't have to be 30 of them. If you don't have time for that, like I think when it gets sent to me twice a week,
Let's see where I pull that phone up. It's typically where we change into the next topic. So, there we go. Update the old stream there. Oh, I didn't post that to everything. That was my mistake. I'm gonna redo that. Copy, and I guess that shows up in there. Here we go. I'm gonna send this out to everyone. Boom. There we go. I know Twitch just got that twice, but whatever. You'll live. Okay, let's find where we change over into coding languages.
usually pretty.
Okay, so we're already talking about that.
Things that you can do with CSS now.
Okay.
Repeat in your furniture. It's just silent.
Gotcha.
Of a product that I was trying to look at.
Oh yeah.
And I remember just like screaming at my computer as I'm trying to scroll faster and faster, and the things are flying across the screen and going up and down. I'm just like, I just want the information.
Yeah. It's a whole JavaScript library that, and just animation in general on a website to make things happen as you scroll.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see. I think the best library for that.
We're gonna add a little title in there too, actually. All right, so copy this over. Green sock. Let's find that. Green sock, green sock. Greensock.com. Nice and easy. Ashley's nodding her head in the background. Let's see here. And that's what is that WordPress library?
It's not for WordPress, it's for anything.
So JavaScript library? Wicked. All right. And that is called GreenSock. www.greensock.com. Wicked. Okay.
It's a whole JavaScript library that you can use to add classes and things to your editors and actually that's pretty cool. I wish I got to use it more, but again, speaking of certain plugins and certain things come with it. There's a free version where you can actually basic doing things, but a lot of the basic versions you doing the same thing. Cool. Yeah, no, you're good. Where's it going with this? Yeah.
Okay, let's get in here.
Like a really big thing. Everyone who's really highly trained in it, who has that
Alive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of
So like parallax scrolling is a really big thing.
Yeah, and it still has stuff like this, and you can use it.
But it has like a specific, like not specific, but like
for like
the right time.
yeah, it's a clear background images. Yeah. That's a really easy way to use it. There's a lot of ways to use parallax and just animation in general on the website.
Okay, I think we're already talking about animation there. I've got to find where we start talking about this.
Exactly. But there's also like changing technology.
Yeah.
So like back in the day, yeah, you had to do it on film. You had to do it on like these very specific.
Maybe we aren't talking about it yet.
Yeah. Oh, you want to watch how what you do and where you use it in your website, because again, it goes back to that low speed. If you're using too much, if it's not being used with a focus on the website, if you're not all the way to fast, it's just going to detract from the user experience rather than enhance it. You don't use it for it.
I heard that one on the stick page of a class that I wrote.
Okay, I think here we go.
Yeah.
I am like, while I am a digital native, I'm not, you know.
Okay, so we can cut this off.
Exactly.
Right about there is where we can cut those off. Those run for a long time. That's I think that's gonna be some really good information, and I'm excited to have these chunks in this video. All right, let's get this on. That's weird. There we go. Snapping is now turned on. Copy all these over. And then because they're animated, we want to put the end caps on them. So let's move all these. And these are going to be named a little differently because they're just copied from that other project. Nope. Okay, so that didn't make a change, so we can't drop that in there. Web design, SEO, performance, and security. So this one needs to say web design. This one needs to say SEO performance. Alrighty.
So you were talking about you just mentioned
Beautiful. So now we got our titles in there.
I am like, while I am a digital native,
there is another section that we talk about where we're talking about the differences between different coding languages, but I think that we can just leave that untitled and then go to the end, see if there's any closeout notes.
It's important to follow the formula before you do anything. There's some great resources out there for learning coding. And I don't remember, but
oh, there's another one. All right, we got more titles back there. I knew there was some closeout stuff. Let's scroll through just to make sure.
But on the podcast, we talk about cool things like PhD and all different types of are there any other types of coding you can talk about? I know.
Before I know, I don't even totally know what that. I put things together. It's like when you kind of learn another language, you go to a country and you can read things and you have to order a sandwich and read the menu. Like I can take other people's JavaScript and modify it to do what I want it to do, and I can understand it and know how to make it function the way I want it to function. But I can't just sit here and. But I think that's a lot of learning for languages too. I don't use it enough.
All right, we're gonna adjust this. Team Treehouse is a learning resource. Learning resource. Team Treehouse. You can find them at teamtreehouse.com. What do you know? Beautiful. Okay. Nope, don't need that space there. I wanted to hit space to start it.
It's a great resource regardless of what type of coding you want to get into. Actually, when I started doing my notes tutorials, we have Python tutorials, we have C++ tutorials, but we have a point to go through this is web design. And it's a video series, and they have active like workshops that you can follow along with. So you look at all the files that they're working on screen, you can do them alongside the person on screen. And at the end of the chapter, they actually give you like little quizzes so you understand what they're saying. If it goes wrong, you can go back and watch it.
Yeah. So that's like on top of the fully popular platform, so there's a platform you use. You need a platform that you can So like that's what they want to be. But there's another platform that you can use. Yeah.
Do another one there because I talk about UXL a little bit.
UXL.
And they're at uxl.com.
I really like that because in order to put some of the courses I've done.
Yeah, it seemed to be really boring, but I had to pretty cool when I was a college. I just couldn't people come up. These are very principal and sending and fun, and they try to start you off slow, but they speed it up real quick. So if you're catching on, it's great. Like you can watch it on like 2 times speed and like use your time with it.
I don't really different. It's noisy because I talk about.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
That works well for me then, and then USL I really like because they give me like you would actually do a test afterwards.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, so it's a really good record. Yeah, I think you have to do something similar. I haven't used it in a while. We're getting one of that's really helpful.
Getting to the end of that video. Super close. Gone through about an hour and 15 minutes already. Hour and 20. Alright, so you know what? I'm just going to make sure really quick that there isn't anything in this section.
And you just try to memorize why, what things cause those things to happen. You can start to put those pieces together. Worry about sometimes doing it later. Worry about like actively remembering what things. So like learn the rules, and then you can learn how to answer it. Yeah. That's super cool. That's something that they when you talk about it, yeah. People will be like, well, but I want to do like this in the career. Like, yeah, you can, but you should learn the rules of storytelling before you start breaking them. Because if you learn how to use them, you'll know how to break them first. Yeah. Like if you're learning code and you're like, okay, well, if you're doing the whole stuff, well, why is it doing it? Why is it doing it? No, once you know that, you start to put it into your mind. I think that's why that's legal. It is because once you know it, you start to use it in the proper way. It just becomes the thing that you use. Yeah. Yeah. Like so like the A squared equals B squared equals C, you write that and you write it right away. Functionality is using that and how to use it and how it relates to technical. And beyond that, then you can try to break it down if you want to see deeper into the history of how it was figured out and why it only works. But it's important to follow the formula before you understand it.
I think we're going to be good. Yep. Beautiful. All right. So that's all good to go. We're going to save that. I should have been doing that a lot more throughout the project, but that's how it goes. Just always remember to hit that Control S button. That's probably one of the most important things that you can learn when it comes to editing. Okay. So let's double check that ending. Beautiful. Alrighty. So we're going to do a little fade to black here. Dissolve, dip to black. there and also there. Beautiful. All right, so that just dips out to black. That's exactly what we want. That's the whole video in a nutshell. So we're going to save that, and then I'm going to talk to you about exporting really quick. We have two little things left to do. That's export and import it to YouTube. So if you hit Control M while you're in Premiere Pro, your export window is going to pop up here. So that's going to give you a breakdown of all that information. You can edit where this is going to, which we are. We're going to change this to, let's see. We're going to add a new folder in here. Reinhard. And then this one is going to be FCMG Podcast. Ashley Reinhard. And the date was 12/08/2019. Okay. That's right. Okay, all those things we can't. Can't have periods in naming conventions. Can't have slashes in there too. Sure. Beautiful. We can add that in the title later. So save it like that. So what I do is I export to H.264. We could go to H.265, which is high efficiency video codec. That can be a great way to post for web and cut down on the size of the file that you're going to be uploading. If you need to, that's a great option. So like watch the difference. It's 6,169 megs. So it's about 6 gig when we're in H.264. And about 4 gig. So that's a huge savings. That's like 30% savings on space. And that can be huge if you're doing something that's like, you know, a couple hours long. This is an hour and 20 minutes. So hour and 23 minutes. So that's saves you 30% on file size, which is pretty good. I might do that. Yeah, I'm going to export this in H.265. And we're going to use our maximum render quality, but I'm not going to select that. I'm going to go down instead. I'm going to go into our target bit rate. So we can go into VBR 1 pass. I can up our quality standards. Now, you know what? I'm going to go back to H.264 because I'm more familiar with like what happens when you adjust those quality settings. So here. H.264, yeah, it'll leave us with a larger file, so it'll take longer to upload to YouTube, but I'm going to be uploading from this computer, and I've got a hard line direct to the internet. So that's going to be, like, I don't think that's going to make that huge of a difference. I set my bit rate, the target to 10, and the maximum to 12, because I'm really not trying to pump a whole ton of, like, information, but there's not a lot of change in my frame. So a lot of it is going to be just static image, but the thing is I don't want it to drop super low below 10, because then you're going to be getting like chunks of the video that don't update for a long time. And I know that that's sort of what this video is, but that can lead to some weird artifacts and, you know, noise showing up in your background. Not necessarily noise, but like just weird digital effects that aren't what you want. So I'm going to avoid that by keeping my target bit rate at 10. That keeps all of those frames updating instead of just retaining information from old frames. So maximum's around 12 because we don't really need, like, I'm not making a whole lot of movement. There's not a lot of light going on. There's nothing really crazy. So we're going to leave it just like that. But we are going to check our audio. 48 kilohertz. AAC audio, 320 kilobits per second. We could pare that down. Like we could go to 96, and that will cut off some of our file size. But for an extra, 100 and something megabytes in a 6 gig file, it doesn't make that huge of a difference. So I'm going to leave it with some high quality audio on there, and we're going to cue this. What happens is when you hit cue, I got to figure out where it went. Oh, no, it is popping up here. Cool. Okay. I've got 3 screens right now, so things can pop up all over the place. Basically, when you go to cue it instead of exporting it directly, it's going to send it to a program called Media Encoder, which allows you to export your video while also working on something else. Like it's a separate program, so you can work in Premiere Pro without being hung up by this. Like it might affect like playback and things like that, but you can render and work, which is huge. Before you had to like render and just wait, which was terrible. So we have our render location. Okay, that's all good. We have our custom preset. That's all good. So I'm going to get this started after the stream because I don't want to affect the quality of our stream and all that stuff. But in the meantime, let's talk about YouTube. So when I go to upload a new video to YouTube, go in here, upload video. So this is the window that you're faced with. You can add a file. Let's just add something as a Let's just do that. It's going to take a second because it's going from a hard drive. So it's waking up that hard drive right now. Okay, so when you're in this window, you get the option to change your titles, which you should always link your titles with your keywords. So I'm going to talk about, Ashley is a web designer and programmer. I'm going to have her name, FCMG podcast, and web designer programmer as the keywords. Those first 3 keywords will show up actually under your video, and then people can click on those and go and check out other stuff. So that's a really helpful way to tie your title and your keywords together and give people like a subject to come back to. Because I'm doing FCMG podcast, people will be able to click on that and then see all of my other videos in succession, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that uses that. But I'm not the only one that uses, web designer or programmer. So if I were to use like web programmer or some sort of specific combination of those words, it might hit a little bit more specifically. Like there might not be millions and millions of people looking for that content, but I'll be within a keyword of similar content. So people who watch things that are of that subject matter will be more likely to find my content, which is what we're ultimately looking for. I would be adding them to playlists. So the FCMG podcast is the one that I'm going to add it to. And then under options here, that's where you get your tags. You're going to want to tie those first 3 tags into the title of your video, and then sprinkle in more of your tags throughout the description. You don't want to just like drop in your tags into your description. Like that's not really going to help you. You want to have information in your description that pertains to your video. You'll have your video language. You can change the recording date. For these, I do put in the actual date that I recorded them. So this one's going to be the 8th. Video location, I wonder if I can put it in full coverage media group. Nope. All right, not going to show up because I don't have a Google listing with the actual location on Google. I do have a Google business location listing though. So category is going to be a big important one. People and blogs. My gaming stuff, I make sure I put it into gaming. Sometimes I put up short films and those go into film and animation, but people and blogs is what I typically stick with. I'm going to change this. It's been like in my you can basically go into your channel and set standards for when you go to upload something. Always do this, or always, you know, set the comments to hold potentially inappropriate comments for review. That's what I have set right now. I don't need that on every video, and I realize I should probably just take that off. So I'm going to change that in my settings, but I'll do that another time. Then you get to add things. Once there's an SD version of your video processed, you can add the end screen and the cards. That I'm going to do remotely after this thing has uploaded. So you can get the process started from one computer, and then from your laptop or from your phone, you can go in and start editing your videos, like title, description, and all that information. So that's a good way to, like, if you have to run, get your video uploaded, like start the process, and then you can hit the road, and while you're, you know, sitting on the bus or like in a ride or whatever, you can do your title, description, tags, all that stuff. So yeah, that's the process here. I'm going to close this one because I don't want to, well, I mean, it's going to start it uploading, but okay, so that's a duplicate file too. I can delete both of these. Deleting is permanent and cannot be undone, so be careful about that. All right. So we're deleting that. And close this stuff here. Go back to Premiere. I'm going to export this, and I'm going to get everything all ready. This will be live tonight. Check out the Full Coverage Media Group podcast on YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, definitely subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting backlog versions of these to the YouTube channel. This is a live one, so it goes under my live videos. You can find those all together, but definitely give a subscription if you're interested in hearing more about editing and the Adobe programs, all kinds of stuff like that. I'll be doing some variety content, but it's mostly going to be focused on photo, video, and media. And during all of my other content, there's always an AMA kind of portion to it. You can always feel free to ask me anything about photo, video, live streaming, podcasting, anything related to that. So I'm going to pop back here for a second. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for attending the live stream and adding your comments into the stream. We really appreciate the feedback and the support. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the stream. Have a good night.